Good morning. Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Good morning, LinkedIn Live. We're live, finally. Good morning, Hardev.
Good morning, Cheryl. Good morning, LinkedIn Live, and everyone who has joined us today this morning.
Absolutely. Morning. And Hardev, oh, wait a minute. Siri thinks I'm talking to it. Okay, not now, Siri. Right. So, Hardev, you're joining us en route in London, and you've got a busy day ahead. So we're gonna be prompt today. It's gonna be 30 minutes sharp. If you are joining us, good morning. I'm in very snowy Shropshire. I'm guessing there was no snow in London when you got down there.
There
No
wasn't
snow.
so I live in
No.
I live in Birmingham. So actually, on the way
Yeah.
down, it was like lovely scenery in the fields of snow.
Yeah.
Birmingham was a little bit covered, but no, nothing in
Yeah.
London, nothing at the moment.
Yeah. It's really snowy. If you're joining us live, please do say good morning in the chat. Let us know if you've got snow or if you've had snow this week. But it looks as though we might even be getting some blue skies today, so we can't complain. Hardev, for those that don't know, if you don't know Hardev, please check out Hardev's profile. Hardev is a customer success manager for Mears. Who I've been finding out a bit more about this morning. I didn't realise Mears was in the FM business, I guess, as well as
Yeah.
other things. So, how long have you been at Mears, Hardev? Just fill us in with that.
Yeah, so I've just been with Mears just over 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I've had the opportunity to work in different parts of our group. So
Yeah.
working on several government contracts, and actually it's almost a year where I've actually joined our facilities management part of the business. It's been a great opportunity for me to learn a lot more about Mears, what Mears do, but also kind of understand, I suppose, actually how best can we support our frontline staff members, because I've delivered quite a bit of customer training across the business, and actually, it's kind of like giving me some thoughts and ideas of actually, how best we can support them. And I suppose it kind of like maybe steers on to, I suppose, Mears Men.
Yeah, it really does actually. And, I was just jotting down, as you said there, in terms of supporting the frontline staff, because I know particularly for organizations like yours, where, the almost like the bulk of your workforce is frontline, sort of
Yeah.
customer client facing services operations. One of the challenges often for businesses like that is just the engagement, never mind just the networks and how
Yeah.
networks support them, but just how you engage with them, how you communicate, because often they don't have email, they don't have, do you know what I mean? It's not
Yeah.
as straightforward as one would think. So Mears Men's Networks, we're going to come. So is the Men's Network the most recent one at Mears? I'm trying to remember. Is it the
So that's one
newest
of
one?
the we launched Mears Men in June, but actually we've got our BAOE, so BAME and other ethnic minority group, which
Yeah.
launched about 2 months ago.
Okay.
Yeah, we're kind of like it's evolving at the moment. I think we've got about 7 network groups that
Okay.
have launched.
Yeah.
A potential another 1 or 2 launching soon on the way. So yeah, definitely
Wow.
a great space to take part and join some of these network groups
Yeah.
and meetings, because actually I joined
Oh, I don't know whether we've lost Hardev. Hardev is literally on route to another meeting, and so he's in London in a hotspot. Hardev, I don't know whether you can hear us, but I think we've lost you. But we're gonna come on to the start of Mears Men's Network. If you have got a men's network and you've been busy this week for International Men's Day, please do let us know in the chat what you've been up to. One of the things that we are going to be talking about is the fact that setting up men's networks can be a little bit of a challenge, as in it can be met with challenge sometimes. There are a couple of organizations that I've been doing some work with, and often when we even have the conversation about whether or not the organization might benefit from a men's network, they often receive a little bit of pushback. This is something I've come across quite a lot, and so I'm keen to understand, for those individuals that maybe are starting men's networks or have started men's networks, have you experienced any pushback, and how have you dealt with that? One of the things that I always say, particularly to women's networks, is, you know, one of the ways of getting gender equality is by having men's networks. Hello, Hardev, you're back.
I'm back. Sorry, this is the
It's
challenge
fine.
of
It's fine.
being
It's fine.
mobile.
Yeah, this is the reality of live as well,
It
right?
is.
Which I love. It's absolutely fine. It's good training for me, actually, kind of, you know, off the cuff. So I was just saying, I was just talking about Hardev, and this is, I think, the way that we first connected on LinkedIn. It was on the back of somebody was doing a post about men's networks and the challenges sometimes that you face, even when you say that you want to set up a men's network, right? There can be challenges around it. So
Yeah.
so we've got somebody in the chat said, good morning. I can't see your name. I'm going to see if I can just quickly pop onto my phone and see if I can see who that is. Good morning. We have one, but it's been quite difficult to get it moving. We have a new chair and I'm optimistic for the future. Yeah, men's networks for some reason can be a little bit trickier than other networks. And thanks to Dev for his support with ours too. So that must be, I don't know whether that's somebody from Mears or I'm going to try and figure out who that is. But just talk to us about any challenges that you faced in setting up Mears. So even when somebody came up with the idea, did you face any sort of like questions or, well, why do we need a men's network? Or do you know what I mean? Like, how was it? It's Jill. Morning, Jill.
Morning, Jill. Yes, I've spoken with Jill before, and I think every network group is going to have its challenges. So when I initially set up Mears Men, you know, I kind of like coined it from my own personal experience of mental health and actually reaching out to a network group within the community. And actually, what I would say is actually bring your own lived experience, bring your own personal experience. So whether it's an associated one, whether actually someone in your family is suffering from mental health or well-being, or whether it's a loved one or a colleague, you've got that association, so you've got that experience. Bring that as part of the journey to tell that story. And it's all about storytelling. You know, why is it important that we actually set up this group? One of the challenges that I had is because I've actually joined a men's network group in the community. It was just for men. And one of the challenges I had when I actually initially proposed it is actually I wanted it just as a men's group. However, in a corporate environment, you know, we want to make sure, you know, we are equal. We offer equal opportunities, and you know, we allow for allyship but also inclusivity. So I had to, I was challenged around actually making it an open group. So I had to take a step back and think, actually, what's the importance of that? And actually, I really do now believe that that's the correct decision I took to have it as an open group, because actually the amount of engagement that we've had from female colleagues wanting to understand men's mental health and well-being and how best that they can support their colleagues within the workplace, but also loved ones, and actually they're telling their story, and actually it really adds to changing that narrative, not only in the organization but out in those communities, whether it's a you know, a father that's struggling but not wanting to open up, or whether it's a brother or a husband, you know, or a sibling, etc. So I think that's one of the challenges that I had. I think engagement is always a challenge, and I think that's something that we spoke about during the ERG event. But what I would say is persevere, you know, and actually still continue that, because actually there's a reason why you're doing it. You know, there's a reason why you're wanting to set it up, and actually there are going to be setbacks and challenges, but actually how can you overcome those? And I say still persevere with those. And actually surround yourself with individuals who will support you. So I'm the chair of Mears Men. I've got 3 co-chairs, and actually those 3 co-chairs are in different parts of the business, and that really helps support me and advocates in those different areas of our business. So we've got 2 frontline staff members, but also we've got a member of a co-chair who works in HR, and that really kind of helps us to kind of like formulate ideas, gather kind of like feedback from our frontline teams, but also from a HR perspective as well. And actually lean on your ERG leaders, you know, lean on your network chair, lean on your group sponsor and other colleagues in the business. And actually, I've been on a great journey, and you know, one of the things that I've got is people don't want to see you fail; they want to see you succeed. So that's where those challenges come from. Sometimes setting up a men's network group is new. It's new for a business. When we're talking about men's health and well-being, it's new, and it's making sure actually, I suppose, the business get it right. And actually, that's why they're looking out for you when I suppose, when you come up with some of those challenges. So embrace it. It's part of the learning. It's part of the journey. And as I said, you know, before I got technical issues, we launched Mears Men in June. You know, when we launched Mears Men, what we decided to do is have a workshop with our leaders, so our general managers up to the likes of chief operating, the CEO, And as part of launching Mears Men, I've worked with Luke Ambler. So if anyone doesn't know Luke Ambler, add him on LinkedIn. So he is the CEO and founder of Andy's Man Club. If anyone remembers It's Okay to Talk, that campaign. So he launched that a couple of years ago after losing his brother-in-law to suicide. And we connected internally via a colleague, and he's really a massive supporter of supporting men's mental health initiatives in the community, and supporting us with the launch of Mears Men. And he really kind of helped us to engage with our leaders by delivering some workshops as well, because actually it also stems from top down. So, and actually out of those workshops that we held, we've had several managers and leaders ask for support for Mears Men to come and deliver a talk in branch locally to reach the frontline teams, but also deliver a talk to a conference as well. So it's been a massive learning curve for us. And the journey's continuing. And actually, today I'm attending an event in London about male suicide, so a research event. And again, all of this really adds to actually what else can we do as network leaders and network chairs to improve the lives of men's well-being and mental health, in the workplace, but also in the community.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've covered so many things there, Hardev, already. But I really like your advice in terms of like how it was started. So like with the workshops with senior leaders and everything to get everybody on board, getting in an external organization like what was it called, Andy's Men Club.
Yeah,
And
Luke Ambler.
Luke Ambler, and there are so many like that. So I thought that was a great idea. And then Denise is on. Good morning, Denise. I don't know whether you met Denise at the summit. Did you meet Denise Myers? She was at the ERG Leader Summit.
Yeah.
So she said, good morning. Thanks, Hardev. Great take on having open groups, right? So letting other people in. How did the men feel about that initially? And are all of the groups in your organization open? That's something I was going to ask as well, because you said about that you were going to have it closed first.
Yeah.
But then you opened it up. So just talk to us a little bit about that. Yeah. So are all of the other ERGs open, or are any of them closed? How's that work?
No, so all of them are open. So it allows for any colleague to attend any of those network sessions, whether it's a menopause group, armed forces, neurodiversity group, our BAME group, our LGBTQ plus group as well. So all of those groups are open. And actually what I found is you learn so much from different people, because actually different people have lived experiences, different walks of life, despite gender, despite sex. Everyone has an association, and actually it's really important to take away what those messages are, because actually it helps you understand actually how can you develop yourself as part of that knowledge piece, but also how can you support those people around you as network chair. So we had some really good conversations when I joined the neurodiversity network group last week as well. But all of our network groups are open. And I think in terms of the second point, to the first point that Denise mentioned, I suppose everyone's going to have a difference of opinion around men's network groups. And I think it's absolutely, it's creating that safe space for male colleagues to be heard. But I suppose it's how do you do that? We hold our Mears Men sessions remotely via Teams, and actually we have a lot of engagement across the group. But actually, Mears Men sessions can take place locally at a branch led. So whether it's by the manager, or whether it's by a mental health first aider, and actually if they want to form that close-knit community there, by all means they're doing it. But actually what we've done is kind of like instill and support conversations around men's mental health and well-being. I mean, at International Men's Day, we held an event in Rotherham. So we've got an office in Rotherham Stadium, and I work quite closely, and my chairs work quite closely with the manager there. And we had over about 40 to 50 operatives attend, female colleagues attend, and actually we're having open conversations around testicular cancer, checking the testicles, why men don't get themselves checked. And the great thing is actually the branch have also led a really good initiative of getting free health checks done with the local authority, with the Rotherham Council. So I actually got my free health check done, and actually I didn't realise that I need to eat more fruit, I need to eat more veg, I need to be more active. And actually I thought I was doing that already anyway. And actually until you get yourself checked and you realise your BMI is slightly high, your cholesterol slightly high, your blood pressure slightly high, and actually the nurse had a really good conversation with me around that. And again, it kind of helps to create that awareness of actually we really do need to look after ourselves as men, not only men but everyone. And actually without these initiatives you wouldn't know. So that's why actually it's great to connect, it's great to do these things, and and actually find out a little bit more about how you can help yourself to help others at the same time. Because actually, when I had that health check done, I got a bit of a document from the nurse. Made copies of it about nutrition, healthy eating, what to eat, what not to eat, and I used that as a bit of a leaflet, guidance, advice for International Men's Day for everyone who attended. But yeah, it was a fantastic day and event.
Yeah, fantastic. And I think I'm going to go to my. I think it's Jill that said that they're currently asking network members for their views on whether they want spaces closed, open, or hybrid. And Denise has added hybrid might be a great model for ERGs. I guess it depends on like where the organization is, what some of the challenges are. We know that, for example, one of the things that ERGs are often doing is supporting community members when, as I've started saying, when things kick off, right, in society. Yeah. So whether it's the riots or it's the war in Gaza or whatever it might be, sometimes the ERGs are then sometimes holding, I guess, a safe space. So there may be, one or two meetings where they're like, or there may be, for example, for the LGBTQ plus community, if something happens around, the trans community, they may say, actually, we want to hold a closed space just for this group. But I actually like the fact that Mears is almost like, I don't want to say it's a policy decision, but you've almost taken this approach of open. I guess the one thing, and I'll ask you this, there is this challenge sometimes around how do you make sure that the network gets the right balance between supporting the members of that community versus educating other people that just come along to just listen. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if you ever feel that and how you get that right balance, particularly in some groups, like, for example, LGBTQ plus community. I think that's feedback I've had sometimes from ERGs. You want any thoughts on that?
I think you kind of like touched upon like a really pivotal word there, Cheryl. And that, for me, it's listening. Even if someone goes to a network group, a network session, and actually they come to listen, that's them learning. That's them actually taking that initiative and actually joining that session and being part of it, but listening and actually taking something away, because actually them taking something away might instill a different behavior, a different action, or change their behavior and action to make them think and realize actually the importance of that network group and actually some of the challenges and actually how best that they can support them. So even if someone does come to one of those sessions and actually just listens, I think that's fantastic. I was listening to a podcast, and actually I'm going to quote him, Stephen Bartlett, and actually, what he said is community is not just about numbers or followers, it's about the impact. And that's where that impact comes in. It's about actually those who attend to talk about their experience and share, and actually those that listen but take something away and actually change behaviors. That's that impact. So regardless if you have one person, two people or three people join your session, it's the impact that it's making.
Yeah, I love the one key takeaway for me there is the listening part. And I think I've discussed possibly with Jill, actually, there's a group that I used to attend, which was, I don't want to say too much about the group because people might be able to guess where it was, but it was a group that was like set up as an advisory committee for like a research organization tapping into people from like an ethnic minority background in the UK, to almost like as a bit of a focus group for these researchers. Okay. And we used to get individuals that came along that didn't meet that criteria, but they used to say, I'm here just to learn. But rather than doing a lot of listening, they used to do too much talking and too much of that. So there is something about, I think, I think it's Jill that said, sometimes this needs really good facilitation. I think if you are going to have open ERGs, that's probably some guidance to the allies that are gonna go into the space. Is kind of like be more on listen mode. Like, it's not to say that you can't speak, but be more on listen mode. So I guess coming back to your men's network, what you wouldn't necessarily want is it being almost like overrun by women, and other genders doing all of the talking, and do you know what I mean, rather than kind of creating a space where men can do that as well. I don't know, it's finding the right balance, right?
It is, and I think Jill kind of touched upon that. It's having kind of, is it facilitators?
Really
Yeah,
good
and
facilitation.
actually my co-chairs are fantastic at that. And
Yeah,
actually we share, we share the agenda. So actually everyone
yeah,
participates in that. And actually, we've got one person who's joining, inviting people in.
mhm,
And actually we've got an individual sharing links of support agencies and networks. And I think it's really important that actually where we're talking about mental health and well-being, it might trigger something for someone. So actually, as part of holding an ERG, and when you're
mm,
talking about such personal information, that actually you do have resources available that you can pop into the chat to say, this is available for anyone who's triggered by anything, a support,
yeah,
whether it's your EAP service or whether it's your
yeah,
mental health first aiders, or whether it's kind of like a local agency or charity. It's really important to have that. And that's part of
yeah,
that facilitation as well. But also that's part of that actually as a co-chair and a chair is listening to what
yeah,
people say at the same
yeah,
time. So again, I've got a great
absolutely.
group of co-chairs. So Liam, Tom, and Harriet work really well together, and actually we're all doing Movember together as well. So we're not growing a tash.
Okay.
so we are walking 240 or running 240 kilometers collectively throughout the month of November, and aiming to raise £1,000 for Movember. And
Wow.
actually, the reason behind that is 60 is a significant figure, because actually globally 60 men lose their lives to suicide every hour. So that's one man a minute. So that's why there's 4 of us. So we're aiming to run or walk 240 kilometers. And actually now I'm in London, I can clock up my steps today as well for
Yeah,
that. But no, thank you for everyone who's donated for
yeah,
that. I think we're about £750 at the moment.
yeah.
And I think we've probably got about another 100 kilometers.
Oh,
And
amazing.
actually, we've kind of like launched this at the beginning of November.
Yeah,
And actually, we've got quite a few colleagues across the organisation who are also taking part locally. And actually, that's that local connection that they've built as well.
yeah,
That's that local, whether it's a Mears Men or network group going out for a
yeah,
walk.
yeah.
When we held the International Men's Day on Tuesday, there's a group of us that went for a walk in the morning, and it's
Yes.
great. Walking and
Yeah,
talking help.
yeah.
So yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. Good morning, Niharika from Serco. Good to see you both live. We picked up on this at the ERG Leader Summit earlier this year, so good to see this conversation moving forwards. And picking up on a couple of things that you were saying about Movember, you must be sure to drop your fundraising link in the comments afterwards. But Movember, I haven't heard as much about Movember, so it's really great that that you're doing it and talking about it. And also, one of the things I love for networks is when networks sort of galvanize their members and their community around something like a cause, something in the
yeah,
community, or that wider cause, one man every minute, losing their life to
yeah,
suicide. That's that's a very sobering statistic. And so I love it when ERGs come together, because I think it really helps to pull individuals together. And as you say, it's an easier way also of engaging the front
yeah,
line and getting everybody involved in it. Let's talk specifically about International Men's Day. And I know that you're doing some stuff today in
yeah.
London as well. So what did you do specifically on International Men's Day, which for anybody that doesn't know was the 19th of November, so Tuesday?
Yeah. So what we done, so we had an event in our Rotherham office, just to kind of like hold sessions and workshops
Yeah,
around talking about men's mental health and well-being.
yeah,
So actually, in one area we had one of my co-chairs talk about fitness, and in another area there was a bit of art therapy. I'm an abstract artist myself, so I thought, it's
you can
great
use
to
that.
express yourself. And
Yeah,
actually, that's kind of like part of the reason why I started off
yeah,
my mental health and well-being journey as well, through art and listening to someone's story, and it really resonated with me. And then I thought, let's just bring a canvas down, and it's an opportunity for people to write words on the canvas, paint words on the canvas, something kind of like some gratitude,
yeah.
self-love, self-care.
I
And
love
actually in a different section, we had a bit of a Q&A section, called a bit of a learning map, a making a positive difference learning map. And actually that making a positive difference learning map is a tool that I use as in my customer role, and actually other customer managers across the organization use that. And actually I really resonated with a comment that someone made at the ERG network event. I think it was lady from Jaguar Land Rover, Mandalisa.
Mandisa.
Yeah, so she
Yeah,
mentioned use resources that you've got internally within your organization to help you drive and do what you do. And I kind of thought, you know what, we've got a learning map, or that I use in my customer role. Let's use that. So what I developed was some Q&As around men's mental health and well-being, such as why don't men check in with themselves? Why don't men go to the GP? What's the reason behind that? Why don't men talk? So, and also some statistics. And actually what we developed was a bit of a question and answer set. And actually everyone, members were able to come up, have a roll of the dice, move, a counter, a chocolate around a learning map, pick up a card, and just have an open conversation. And that really kind of instigated some healthy conversations around looking after ourselves. But not only that, it created a safe space for people to really open up. And we had conversations around around how people were brought up, around how their parents were, how people they haven't seen their parents or family in such a long time, and that power of connection. We talking about role modeling as well, because actually we take on a lot of apprentices across the organization, and actually we're talking about actually how we can be role models for them as that next workforce. Also spoke about sense of belonging as well, and actually that created that sense of belonging. So within that day, there were kind of like every hour a bit of a drop-in session. I think across the day we had over 50 colleagues just drop in and out in different kind of like sessions, just to kind of like talk about physical fitness and well-being. Talk about getting yourself checked. Spoke about my experience of getting that health checked. Spoke about healthy eating and things like that. So it was a fantastic day. And just really lots of engagement, talking about November, the importance of it. And I think as part of that, I brought in my own lived experience of challenges that I had with mental health and wellbeing, and actually how I reached out to a community network group, and actually how that really inspired me. And actually it's one of the reasons why I've set up Mears Men. I want to kind of like support and encourage men to really look after themselves, whether it's physically or whether it's mentally. So, we go to the gym, that's a gym for your body, but actually what about that gym for the mind? And that's where it comes to talking and actually understanding. So really healthy conversations. We were talking about counselling as well in that session, and actually several people opened up and said, actually I've been to counselling, I've been to a network group, a session such as Andy's Man Club, and it's really helped me. And it really helps to get others in the room to understand, what, I'm not alone. I'm not alone, and actually if they can do it, I can do it. And that's kind of like where it comes down to the whole art. So when I was joining Human, which is a network group that I joined remotely, someone was talking about art, and I've always loved art, and I thought if that's helped them with their mental health journey, I can do the same. And actually I then started to do my own art, and actually over the last few years I've developed over time. So actually, what, we've all got it within us. It's hearing that story, and it kind of like encourages and empowers you as well.
Absolutely, that's absolutely amazing. And good morning, Bernadette. Bernadette Thompson there. Sounds like a great initiative, Hardev. So Bernadette, so Hardev has set up Mears Men's Network only this summer. I mean, it sounds like you've been going for, in terms of the level that you've gone in, it sounds like it sounds like you're an expert at this, but you've only been going since the summer, which is, I think, just some of the things that you've shared honestly in terms of how you went about it, bringing in Andy's Men's Club to like do the workshop with the leaders, and talking about whether it should be open or closed and all of that, laying those foundations for the Men's Network, reaching out, collaborating with different organizations, really sounds like it's been absolutely critical to getting it off the ground. So we're going to be wrapping up, because I know you have to go at bang on 9 o'clock, right?
Yes.
So just final tips to any organizations or any individuals that are watching that are thinking of starting a men's network. I know, and just so while you're thinking of that, I know I was talking to somebody this week about International Men's Day, and she said that her husband had said, we don't need an International Men's Day. I just want to go to work and get on with it, right? So there might be some of that attitude out there. So any final tips to anyone thinking of starting a men's network? Where should they start?
I'd say be authentic. Someone asked me that as well. I've already before. Be authentic in that approach. Don't do it for a tick box exercise. Don't do it because actually, you're just doing it for the sake of it. Have a purpose. What is the reason? And actually, it really helps to tell the story. When I set up Mears Men, I have that purpose. I told my story. I reached out to co-chairs who wanted to be part of that. They have the similar experience and similar lived experience, and actually they carry you along that way. they carry you to kind of like get to that goal, which is kind of like where we've got to at the moment. So I would say just be authentic in that approach. It's going to be new, you know, and be ready for setbacks, and that's the reality of it. You know, be ready for some challenges, but actually that's the organization looking out for you at the same time, and making sure that you succeed.
Yeah, I totally agree. Somebody said, I think Dev is really inspirational. Great. Like you're almost like you're almost like a men's network ambassador. And I know there are other men doing work in this space, like, you know, we've got Daniele Fiandaca and others that are helping men's networks, but you're in it. You're in it, doing it, living it, and supporting others. So massive thank you. And also one final question from me: how did you grow it? How did you get the word out there that this men's network was now started? Was that working with internal comms, or
it
you know,
was
how did you go about it?
So within our internal comms were really supportive, so you know, supporting us with any kind of like communication campaigns, launches of that as well. Have a look at different ways to actually reach your audiences as well. So actually sometimes your internal intranet is one option, is fantastic, but actually what are other methods? And actually what I found is, you know, where there are groups of branches or staff members, you know, they've even got their own little WhatsApp groups or conversations. Let's tap into that. Let's reach out to them as well, and make them aware of it. And actually, the last point is actually reach out to other network chairs. Find, you know, get support from them to launch yours, because actually they've got that experience. You know, bring them on that journey with you, but also reach out to other men's network chairs. I've had some really good conversations with you know, colleagues from you know, different businesses about their own men's network chairs, such as Jill, you know, nationwide as well, and actually find out what they're doing, and actually how we can actually just all, you know, be part of that one network and move.
Absolutely perfect. If you're thinking about starting a men's network and you don't know where to start, definitely reach out to Hardev. I see you know, I definitely see you. You're almost like an ambassador for this work. So thank you so much, Hardev. I'm going to let you get going because I know you've got a busy day ahead of you. Thank you everybody for listening in live, and if you're listening on the replay, thank you for taking some time out of your day. And Hardev, I'll see you next year at the ERG Leader Summit in June. For sure.
In June, yes, or some sooner events.
Absolutely.
Take care. Thank you very much.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Thank
See
you.
you next time.
Bye-bye.